Hello, you're sideways, which is ironic, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know what's happened there. Am I upside down now?
No, you're just sideways.
Oh, it's changed on here.
You're literally sideways on sideways. It's weird though that because your back. Oh, there we are. You're right now. I was going to say your background is the right way up, and you're floating in air. Like what's that? What was that bloke called who did the snowman?
Aled Jones.
Yeah, yeah. You were like Aled Jones. Well, you weren't like Aled Jones because he wasn't actually in the snowman, was he?
He wasn't, no.
He just
No.
sung about the snowman.
Well, I can see you now though. I can see you better as well. You were sideways as well.
Was I?
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
peculiar, isn't it?
it's
I was
all
just
fun.
listening to some Beethoven.
Oh, were you? Yes, well, we've done one on classical music, haven't we? The benefits of that.
I
And
was just thinking about how you used to like listening to it in the afternoons, didn't you?
I do, I still do. I quite like, yes, I do. Yeah, classic FM I like to have as my wake up radio as well, which is nice.
That's right. Yeah. When you were in your 20s, right?
Yeah.
If someone had said to you later in life, you'll be waking up to classic FM, what would you have said to them?
I'd have said no, that would never happen. It was
You said,
something
no, I'll be waking up to Thin Lizzy and Lodwyn
that
Pig.
would be more up my street.
Yeah.
You're a crackly Radio Luxembourg or something, or Caroline.
Yeah. Yeah. Are they still around, either of those?
I don't know. I think Caroline are, aren't they?
I don't know. Have you been to a Caroline Road show recently?
Not recently, not recently. I think they're long gone, but they were the mainstay of our youth, weren't they?
I absolutely loved them.
Yeah.
I used to so look forward to a Friday night down the Corn Exchange.
Yep. Yep. It's good. When
Occasionally, they used to have them occasionally up in the upper room at the Queen's Head, didn't they? Down the bottom of the high street.
they did, they did. Yeah, but mainly it was the Corn Exchange, which is a decent sized room, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Listening to
I
some
can.
proper metal.
I can remember I was at one down. It was the Queen's Head, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I remember I was at one there with Adam, and they. I'll always remember this. They were playing one of the more modern Rainbow hits. I
Oh
was going
yeah.
to say, was it Since You've Been Gone? It was one of those type. It
Yeah.
might not have been that one, but it was quite a slushy one. And there was this couple in front of us who were singing all the lyrics really deep into each other's eyes.
Were they?
Yeah, really staring into one another's eyes, singing along with the latest Rainbow hit.
You didn't see that often down there, did you? Really?
No, no, no. It was usually a smell of patchouli oil and
It
and
was.
real ale, wasn't it?
Yeah, and sweaty leather.
Sweaty leather. It's got a good name for a band.
Anyway, that didn't give
Yeah.
you the ick, did it? That sort of smell.
No, no, it didn't. Things have done over the years. So that's what we're talking about today, isn't it?
It is, yes. So I gave
The
you
ick.
it was a very clunky segue, but I thought I'd, give you a hand in case we dripped on
Yeah.
too long.
Thanks. Well, I'm looking forward to this. What can you tell me about the ick?
Yes, it's one of those occasions where you very kindly decided last week or the week before we were
2 weeks
recording
ago. Yeah. Yeah.
that you'd do the notes for this week. But you did send me a message telling me you still wanted for me to do the before we start
Yeah.
and the lyric challenge. So
Yeah.
I've
Well,
done.
last time when we changed it all about and we both did each other's, assumed it one another's roles, that felt like it was too different.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And it was a bit too much work for me as well.
Yeah, I think that's where it came from. Yeah.
I'm quite glad I did suggest that though, because I really fell into a massive rabbit hole with this. I've done an enormous enormous amount of work on it, which don't worry, I'm not going to saddle you with this morning. But just before we start, my own before we start.
Yeah.
But I've written my essay this week on my Substack blog is all about the ick. So if you're in any way interested by our inane witterings this morning, you could go to Substack and search my name, and then you can read my essay because by the time this is out, that will also be out. So if you feel like you haven't got enough of the ick by the
Yeah.
time we've finished, you can have Moric in written. Well, it's not only in written form. I've also done a voiceover, so you can listen to me reading my own work.
Wow, I did see that just as we were starting this recording, a notification come up on my phone from you
Correct.
saying that
Correct.
that was now available. So I'll have a listen.
9:30 on a Sunday.
Yeah, well, I'll have a read of that later on.
Well,
But
you'll know most of what's in it by then. But
well, I'm looking forward to sort of becoming an expert on the ick.
yeah. Have you ever experienced? Oh, hang on. You probably got before we start. Before we start.
I have got, before we start, a couple of little things.
Yeah, go on.
The first one was, there was a little story about a woman on a cruise who
Yeah.
who has successfully sued the company, which I think,
Mm.
actually I won't name the company, but she sued them for over serving her alcohol. All right. Yeah, quite. She drank 14 shots of tequila and fell down some stairs. Um, but the company were found
So it's
guilty.
their fault. It was their fault.
It was their fault, and she got something like, it was in dollars, but I think it equated to around about £220,000.
Wow.
I know.
Just for getting upside her head.
Yeah, and it was an all-inclusive deal. You know, it's one of those ones that where we've talked about the immoral business
Mm.
model that presents. But it did, yeah, it was an all-inclusive deal. So she went for it and ended up, with a big payout as well. I mean, if I took that attitude, I mean, if I went round to all the pubs that overserved me and, and all the off license and said, "Look what you've done to me,"
Yeah.
I'd be a millionaire, wouldn't I?
Well, now that's interesting because I think you've partially answered the question I was going to ask you, which was going to be, where do you stand on that? Because I know, there is a level of responsibility, isn't there, for the vendor? But really, when you get to the point where someone is suing the cruise company for over serving them alcohol, I mean, where does personal responsibility start and finish?
Well, quite. There's got to be a level of accountability,
Yeah.
isn't there, for this?
Yeah, you've
Um,
inadvertently actually come up with a before we start that is related in some way to today's topic,
oh, right. Okay.
as we'll discover later on.
Okay. Yeah, it's a difficult one. But yeah, you've got to take responsibility for that. You do have the ability to say no. I don't fancy that, and I don't want another one. Um, but we used to use this phrase just as a, if we had a hangover in the morning, say, "Oh, I got overserved last night," just as sort of a fun way of blaming the landlord, or fun way of blaming someone else. I never thought it'd
Yeah.
get to the point where it become a legal precedent. So
So
yeah.
when we went into the George that night, and Harry was sent serving me up a Kronenberg 1664, and Kev Freight said, "Flat out tonight, Flip."
Mm.
That should have been an indication for Harry to say, "Actually, I don't think you should have this," shouldn't
He
it?
should have, no, he could have downgraded you to a pint of Skull or something like that,
Yeah,
shouldn't he?
exactly. Or a Heineken.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. But landlords, I mean, some people perceive them as legal drug dealers. Um,
yeah.
they have other agendas, i.e.,
Mm.
profits, don't they?
Profit. Yeah, yeah. They're not too worried unless, I mean, if you're not causing trouble, they're probably going to be okay with it, aren't they?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, there were some pubs that it was difficult to get not served in, wasn't it? Because
yeah, yeah.
uh,
You almost couldn't be drunk enough, could you?
no, you couldn't.
Well, it's like that night that our friend Mark, when we went on the stag do, he didn't get served in the Albion. I'd never seen someone not served in the Albion ever. I mean, that's quite a badge of honour, isn't it?
I think they put a sort of a blue plaque
A
up for him
plaque.
afterwards, didn't they? The only one ever to be thrown out of the Royal Albion for drinking too much.
Yeah, yeah, it was amazing.
It was
Anyway,
normally it was a prerequisite of going down there, wasn't it, mate? Normally.
definitely in those days it was. Yeah.
Anyway, there was another headline I liked, which was "Woman in sumo wrestler suit assaulted her ex-girlfriend in gay bar after she waved at a man dressed as a Snickers bar." There's a lot
There's
in
too
there.
much going on. There's too much going on, isn't there?
There is too much going on, but I thought as a headline, you would have read the article, wouldn't you?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Did you read the article?
No, because there wasn't one there. I just looked up some headlines and there it was.
Have you ever dressed as a Snickers bar?
I haven't, no.
If you were forced to dress as a confection, an item of confectionery, what would you dress as?
I'd probably go as a Galaxy Ripple.
Why?
I don't know, sort of tall, long and thin.
Oh, okay, yeah. So you actually thought about that sort of almost immediately. That was quite clever.
Yeah, but it's my current favourite chocolate bar as well.
Oh, okay. So that would have played into it then.
Yeah, it would.
Yeah. I haven't had a Galaxy Ripple for years.
Absolutely
I,
wonderful.
I think I dress up as Maltesers.
One big one. It'd be quite
Well,
tricky.
no, a bag of them. I mean,
Oh,
not
I
a,
see.
not a number of them. I don't know how you do that. Have you ever won a fancy dress contest
I
or entered one? I say won it. I mean, that was probably that narrows it down a little bit, doesn't it? But have you ever
yeah,
been to
no,
one?
I've been to as a kid. I went along to one at the vicarage. You
Oh,
know,
I went one to the vicarage when I was a kid. I dressed as a cracker. What did you dress as?
no, I was a Red Indian.
Did you win?
No,
Oh,
but I think I remember that was one of my earliest disappointments. Thinking I look really good here. I'm definitely going to win. Yeah, and
yeah.
luckily someone as a girl dressed up as a fairy won it.
That I think I might have been at the same fancy dress party as you
Really,
because
really,
that's exactly my memory. I remember
really.
going along there and thinking, I look really good as this cracker. I'm definitely going to win.
Yeah,
And then a fairy won.
yeah. Perhaps it could have been exactly. Yeah,
It was the similar disappointment that I got when I thought I was going to win those early iterations of video games, sort of video tennis, and
yeah.
they're just the those
Mm.
ones. I entered a competition down at Cheeseman's and I got to the final,
Oh wow.
and I thought I'm definitely going to win this, and I didn't, and I was
No,
super disappointed about that as well.
yeah. Coming second is awful in that situation, and
Yeah, the prize was £5, as I recall.
wow, that would have been like several
Yeah,
months pocket money.
yeah. Anyway, should we stop dripping on then?
Please do. Yeah.
Let's talk about the ick.
Yes.
I can't remember why we decided to do this. Do you? Do you remember?
I can't
We
remember
must
what.
have something that caused us to feel the ick, or someone had got the ick, or something.
Yeah, I can't remember what was the protagonist of this particular episode, but
Right?
I'm sure he mentioned it some time ago, and then it
Yeah,
came up again
probably.
last week.
Anyway, I'm guessing most people know what it is, but do you think I should give an example in case they
Yeah,
don't?
yeah.
Okay. I've got a whole range of examples written down here, some of which I've found absolutely delightful. So I'll choose one from here. Um, okay, one of my favourites is so the ick is when you have this sudden visceral aversion to the person you're dating, right? So everything's going along swimmingly, and then you see your date sitting on a high bar stool with his legs dangling, and suddenly you think, no, I can't do this anymore. Right?
Mm.
That's the sort of thing. Or what else? Chasing after a dropped coin, scrabbling around on the floor for something. That's the sort of thing that might suddenly make you think, I was in love about 10 minutes ago, but now I can't stand this person. I need to get away from them double quick. Right?
Yeah, that's good. I thought of a few examples myself, which expands
Well,
that somewhat. It's not just limited to relationships, but I've only got these things jotted down as a sort of in case you ask me. So
well, I am going to ask you. That's good. We'll have a look at those later because the
yeah,
idea of expanding out is quite good because everything I'm going to talk about this morning is really with relation to
yeah,
relationships.
it's where it comes up most. You're absolutely
Yeah,
right. Yeah,
yeah. So that's the ick. I guess most people know what the ick is. It's and so a little bit of background. I mean, obviously that feeling of sudden of revulsion towards someone, I'm sure has always existed, but we've only had a kind of name for it in more recent times, which in and of itself is quite an interesting thing that we'll get to. But when I was trying to understand where it came from, apparently the word icky emerged out of 1930s jazz culture
okay.
as jazz, correct, um, as a way of describing overly sentimental music. So, the early forerunners of Foreigner, Boston
Yeah,
Journey, that sort of
yeah,
thing.
yeah. Okay.
So it's the
I'm
sort of word you would have used, I think.
yeah, I'm with it now. I understand it totally.
Yeah. So, and then I think it sort of morphed into to a more sort of general expression of disgust. So people would not use icky just to describe sentimental music. They use icky to describe something they felt was, generally disgusting. And then in the 90s, the ick came more to prominence. I think it was featured in a couple of quite popular TV shows. If my memory serves me, Friends had an episode with the ick in it,
All right.
and Sex and the City had one with the referencing the ick. But I think it really took off when it was spoken about in an episode of Love Island in 2020.
All right. Okay.
Can't remember who it was that I think she's quite famous. Can't remember who it was that said it. But she said something like, when you get the ick, that's it. And so that was kind of the point at which it kind of took off in popular culture, and it became something to describe that sudden feeling that you get that creates an aversion to whoever it is that you're with that you can't really explain. Okay.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, let's see if we can sort of find some theories on why this happens. And two of the theories that I found, one was a theory put forward by a guy called Paul Rozan, who apparently is a world-renowned expert on the topic of disgust. So he's done a lot of research on disgust. Okay.
Okay.
And so he put forward this idea that whereas disgust in a kind of physiological sense is really about trying to protect us physically. So if you feel disgusted by something, food or whatever it might be, it's coming from a place of trying to make sure that you don't make yourself ill. You don't get,
Okay.
physically injured in some
Mm.
way. And he put forward this theory that, maybe the ick is a way of us trying to protect our souls from being injured. So when we feel the ick around someone, it stops us from putting ourselves in a position where we might be, emotionally hurt.
Yeah. I
And
understand that.
related to that, a woman called Becky Spellman suggested that the ick perhaps is an unconscious recognition of some sort of incompatibility that we've not yet realized.
Mm.
Makes sense?
Yeah.
So that there's something we're seeing about this person, but it hasn't fully come into our consciousness. So they're running for a bus with a rucksack on is the point at which we think, no, I can't do this anymore. And although that in itself appears ridiculous, that there's something kind of underneath it that might be powering it that has more credence and logic. Make sense?
Yeah, it does. I just wonder what that was, what would have been for someone running along with a rucksack, what the underlying issue was there.
Well, that's the whole. I think that's the whole thing about the ick. Sometimes you can kind of get it, and you think, why have I suddenly gone off someone for that? But
Right.
that's
Okay.
what you feel. Have you ever experienced it? Has it ever
Um,
happened to you? Do you think you've ever had the ick in this sense?
Relationship wise,
Yeah.
yes. Um, but I'll come on to that.
Okay. Okay. All right. Um, so anyway, so there are a couple of theories. Now, I've got a third theory that I want to put forward today. So essentially, this is my theory about where the it comes from.
I'm liking this.
Mm. And it's born out of uh, some research I did into intimacy rates.
Okay.
So we know from research that intimacy rates are declining. An increasing number of Gen Z people, so young people, are reporting no sexual activity in the previous 12 months. So young people seem to be having sex less. They seem
Okay.
to be less interested in relationships, and dating apps are losing their appeal as well. So there's lots of data to show that people's interest in dating and having relationships and commitment is on the wane. And so I started thinking, okay, another way of reframing the ick or another way of explaining the ick would be to think about people's attachment style. So if you have an anxious avoidant attachment style or you have a dismissive avoidant attachment style, I think there could be that could bear a relationship to the ick, and we'll have a look at why that might be. Socio-economic conditions, so rising unemployment, high housing costs. People have got less money. They're more worried about their future. They're worried about the security of the world generally and their futures. One could argue that young people perhaps feel that there are more things to worry about than, settling down and having a relationship with someone, right?
Yep.
I also read quite a lot around the topic of heteropessimism, which
That's a
is
term.
which is the idea that people are becoming increasingly disillusioned with heterosexual relationships, but they feel understandably stuck in them. So people describing that heterosexuality is like a prison. There's lots of things that they don't like about it, but what the hell else can they do? So they kind of stick in it, even though they'd rather not.
Is that
And I think,
just
go
sorry,
on,
just
yeah.
on that, that's not sort of an offshoot of the incel movement or anything, is it? Would you
Well,
say?
actually, it has got a relationship to the incel movement, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not just a description of incels, but it's a description of.
Mm.
I mean, obviously, it's something that experienced not entirely because it does relate to incels, but predominantly by females, by women who have become increasingly disillusioned at what it's like to be in a relationship with a man.
Oh, right. Okay.
But it
Yeah.
does work the other way around as well. And when you think about what an incel is and how incels feel about women, they feel like they never get what they're due from women. It's
Mm.
kind of the
But
same thing in reverse with a different flavor.
yeah, I know that there are incel movements that are obviously predominantly men, but there are women joining in sort of incel movements as well, which is another uh,
Yeah.
another movement in that area.
Well, you could see all of that as a form of
Yeah.
heteropessimism.
Yeah.
And there's also, I would argue, an aspect of neurodiversity that might relate to the ick. So we'll come on to have a look at that. Um,
Excellent.
so my reframe essentially is this: what if the ick is not so much about the other person as an indication of something in you? So
Okay.
that's the question that I'm posing, and the one that I'm hoping that we might be able to answer.
Okay.
With me so far?
Yes, I am. Yeah, I'm just thinking
Any
about.
thoughts that you want to add?
No, no. It's just I was looking at my list of icks that I did jot down. I thought if all these are saying something about me, I've got some serious issues going on.
Okay, well, why don't you give me one or two of your examples of icks then?
Okay. Well, the one that you sort of asked me about if I've ever been in this position.
Mm,
Um, yeah, I did very quickly go off of a girl that I was. I'd only went on one date with her, but
yeah,
it ended. But I noticed she had lipstick on her teeth.
there you go. Ick. That's an ick, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
So so you're presumably all right. So I'll give you an example of one that I experienced that I talk about at greater length in the essay that I've written. When in my teens, I pursued a girl. I mean, that's not as creepy as it sounds, but I was interested in a girl for months. And in my kind of typically ham-fisted way, I don't think I made a particularly obvious play toward her, but she did in the end get the message. And I can't remember how it happened now, but anyway, we agreed to meet for a date. And when it was a warm day, and when she turned up, she had these kind of Roman sandals on.
Okay.
And I took one look at them, and I thought, I feel nothing for you anymore. And I suddenly, my
Yeah.
interest in her suddenly just went up like a puff of smoke. And so, which is very similar to lipstick, on
Yeah.
your teeth, isn't it?
Yeah.
And of course, I thought, well, that's just, it didn't cross my mind that that could be anything to do with me. I just thought, well, for some reason, I don't like sandals. But oh well, we'll come to it. But my theory is that actually that was saying something about my real interest in putting myself in a situation where I was vulnerable enough to be cared about and to be potentially to be loved. Right? I mean, maybe
Mm.
it was the same for you. Maybe there was something in there that, or something in you that was looking for an excuse not to allow this relationship to continue.
But yeah, probably. Yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So when you think about it, without asking you to give away details you want to think about, but when you think about it, do you now recognize that it was possible that actually that was quite a convenient way of you saying to yourself, actually, this isn't going to work, rather than it being about that particular woman being unsuitable for you?
Absolutely. Yeah, no. I think so, and I have thought about it in the past, and yeah, that was just I ticked a box to myself, I think, to say, don't pursue this any further. This is not for you. So that could have happened to anyone, couldn't it? And it's not an indication of anything really. It was just one of those things that, yeah, I homed
Yeah.
in on,
Yeah.
and I
What
could,
is what?
and I
Go
couldn't
on.
stop looking at the lipstick on the teeth, which was a question I was going to ask later on, which I'll do so later on.
Yeah, okay, we'll come back to that.
Mm.
But I mean, that is a really good example. Those are good examples, because my proposal with the ick here is that what it really is our way of externalizing a decision.
Right.
But what we do is we're saying, well, I feel as if I've gone off this person now because they are wearing sandals or they've got lipstick on their teeth, which means I don't really have to look at what I want and the decision that I want to make.
Mm.
You know, and obviously, I'm not suggesting that's a conscious thing. We're not sort of saying, oh, actually, I'm a bit worried about being in a relationship, so I'm going to find an excuse to get out of it. This is all happening unconsciously. But I think if you do have, this is where attachment style, I think, is related, because if you do have an anxious or dismissive attachment style, then your idea of being in a relationship and actually being cared for by someone is probably undermined by your belief that that probably isn't for you and you probably don't deserve
Mm.
it, right?
Mm. Mm. Yeah, it makes sense.
Okay. So I think there are three iterations of the ick, and I'm just going to briefly go through them with you.
Okay. Yeah.
The first one is the ick we feel towards someone else, okay, which is what we've been talking about.
Mm.
So it's aimed outwards, but I think that often, although it's aimed at the other person, it's projected onto the other person. Really, what it is an abdication of the responsibility for our own feelings. Okay. It might be that we just don't want to be in a relationship. That's fine. But that's not about someone having lipstick on their teeth. That's
No,
about
no.
us
Well,
kind of finding an excuse for not being in this relationship, right?
yeah, yeah.
The second iteration of the ick is the self ick, which we've not spoken about. I'm going to ask you if you think you've ever experienced this, because I go into an example of this in the writing that I've done. But the self ick is the ick, as it suggests, is the ick that's aimed inwards, that comes from us finding ourselves unlovable. So here's where attachment theory might really kind of come to the fore, because if you find yourself in some way disgusting or stupid or unlovable in some way, then it becomes very easy to frame your behavior or something that happens to you in a way that makes you look ridiculous and absurd and actually quite disgusting, rather than, if you have a very kind of healthy self-image, being able to explain it to yourself in a way that's more measured. I mean, the classic example that we've spoken about on here many times is my previous efforts at DIY. You know, I would easily find myself to be absolutely ridiculous and pathetic when I put a shelf up and it was skew width, or I put the back on something, it was the wrong way round. So I think if you struggle in terms of feeling worthwhile and valuable, then the self-ick is something that you'd probably be quite familiar with. So do you think, is the self-ick something you've experienced?
Oh God, yeah. I'll relate back to, being in the madness.
Yeah.
Everything about yourself it gives you the ick,
Yeah.
and I think it just you end up not looking in the mirror anymore, because you look in there, you see your hair needs cutting, it's all shaggy and stuff, and your
Yeah.
teeth haven't been brushed for ages. You're unshaven. You've got
Yeah.
sallow complexion. Your eyes have sunken, and everything about yourself, you don't like yourself at all. You don't like the way you behave, and
Yeah.
you don't like any of the clothes that you previously felt were okay to wear. You don't like them anymore,
Yeah.
and the clothes that you do wear are just hanging in filth. Yeah,
Yeah.
everything about In the Madness is
Yeah. So So that's a good example because, as you were saying there, when you feel like that, you avoid looking at yourself in the mirror. And actually, what I'm saying here is it often is about avoidance. It's
Yeah, yeah,
about avoiding confronting yourself. And of course, addiction is about avoidance. When you're in addiction, you are avoiding, aren't you? You're avoiding living.
totally.
You're avoiding taking part in life and
Yeah, yeah,
confronting perhaps some of the things in your life or in life generally that are very, very difficult to deal with. So that example is a good one in terms of it being an illustration of you trying to avoid um, really standing face to face with the way you feel about yourself.
yeah, and that seems to be related to when we're looking at recovery. Obviously, you move away from that, and you do start to. So, in that case, you see it much more closely linked to self-esteem, if the inwards ick, and as your self-esteem rises, as things get better, certainly in recovery terms,
Yeah,
then yeah, you do. You start to forgive yourself for some of those little foibles, but you do
yeah,
think, but you do something about it, um,
yeah.
and, and, and to make yourself feel better.
Yeah, the interesting thing with the self-ick, because keeping in line with what we're considering to be the definition of the ick, is when you notice something that you really feel bad about yourself for that is a bit absurd. So the
Mm.
example that I used in the essay that I've written is that I was going up the escalator in the shopping centre one day and one of my earbuds fell out. And I heard it kind of bouncing back on the metal stairway. But I
Oh,
felt
I like
so
this image.
embarrassed. I felt like such a twat. I thought I can't turn around and go and look for it and sort of go down the up escalator looking for my little earbud
Yeah,
because I just felt like, oh, that's you are such a prick,
yeah,
Graham.
yeah.
So it was, I had a sudden visceral aversion to myself, and I got to the top of the escalator, and this bloke came up to me with something in his hand. He said, "Look, you dropped this,"
Oh,
and I
wow.
felt even more stupid, you know, because he must have been thinking, "Why are you not looking for your earbud, you prick?" And so that whole experience was a kind of response to myself that, yeah, okay, you can be embarrassed about that, but anyone can drop an earbud on a bloody escalator. But
Yeah.
for whatever reason, my response to myself was visceral.
Mm.
I was really completely dismissive of myself. So I think when you think about those kind of aspects of self-disgust, it's a bit like gratitude in reverse. It's those little experiences that you've blown out of all proportion that are good examples of the self-ick.
Mm. That makes
Okay,
sense.
okay, and then the third iteration is what I've called the inverted ick. So the inverted ick is the way the self-ick affects your behaviour towards other people.
Okay. Yeah.
So the example that I would cite here would be because you have the self-ick, you pursue relationships with people who are never there for you. You're always going after emotional unavailability, and then you turn away from people who will actually love you properly and will care about you.
Okay.
So what's happening there is your ick towards yourself is making you behave in a way that makes you think you are being discerning about choosing other partners, but actually you're not being discerning at all. You're avoiding. What you're doing is you're avoiding the love that's there for you, and you're chasing after the love that isn't there for you. Does that make sense?
I think so. So that would be chasing someone perhaps that is out of your league, or is
Or,
attached to
or
someone else.
yeah, someone who's attached to someone else, or someone who actually doesn't treat you very well, but you still keep going after them.
Yeah.
I mean, another one would be, and you hear about people doing this, trying to sustain long distance relationships with people who live in other countries.
Right. Yeah.
All this stuff, because really, when you look at it, I mean, I'm not saying that can never work, but often when you're looking at it, once you look under the bonnet, what's really going on there is you're maintaining a position of being able to continue not really being loved in the way that you want to be loved.
Mm.
So you
Mm.
can't really sustain a relationship that is in some way satisfying for you. I mean, you'll have seen it many times when people in relationships with partners who treat them really badly, but they stay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So what's going on there? What's happening there? That is, in sense, an inverted ick. It's the way you feel about yourself being projected onto the way that you are prepared to be treated in a relationship.
Mm. Yeah. No,
Makes
that
sense?
makes perfect sense.
So all of those things kind of enable us to move away from the discomfort of exploring our own feelings about what's happening and the way that we relate to others. So, it might be that you don't want to be in a relationship. It might be that you feel you're not worthy of a relationship. But my point here is that the ick gives you the opportunity to explore whether some of those things are actually occurring, rather than just assuming you don't like this person because, as I said earlier, you see them running for a bus with a rucksack on. Which, when you think about it, it's absurd, isn't it? There's got to be something else to it. There's got to be something else.
And that's why I asked if you thought there was an underlying issue with that, because there isn't anything on the surface that says that is wrong.
Well, what's quite interesting is when you research the ick, there'll be sometimes you'll get sources that will say, these icks are reasonable. So, for instance, someone being rude to waiting staff, right? Now, I had a conversation with my daughter about this, and she put me straight on this. She said, that's not an ick, because if it's not absurd, it's not an ick. If it's an ick, it's got to be absurd. And so being rude to waiting staff or talking down to people or being judgmental, that's just a sensible red flag in your relationship. If you're dating someone and they're rude to people in restaurants, then if you feel unattracted by that, that's just your good judgment. If you're dating someone who's racist or sexist and you think, actually, I don't really want to be here anymore, well done. That's not the ick. That's just you seeing someone behaving in a way that is not congruent with the way you see life or your values, and you thinking, I want to get out. Does that answer your question? Or
yeah, it does.
Right. Okay. Anything to add at this point? Do you want to share with us a few of your example icks then, and we can?
Well, no? I think no, but when I was doing this and thinking about it, things that give me the ick, perhaps they do fall into perhaps that category that Beth was talking about there.
Oh, great. Well, that's okay. So give us a few of them, and then we can decide whether they do.
I did have being rude. I put, instead of people being rude to waiting staff at restaurants, etc. I put wankers being rude to waiting staff at a restaurant. That was on my notes because and that doesn't mean that I was sitting on the table with them. It could be anyone in the restaurant. Which is why I can get the ick outside of relationship issues. Because I think it comes down to, when I was thinking about it, it's more about perhaps I'm just being judgy rather than the ick in some. I'll give you an example. People chewing with their mouth open. Okay.
Oh, no, that is an interesting one. Yeah, because I would say that does fall into the ick, but it's probably an ick that a lot of people would experience, right? Because it's not. Go on.
No. If it was on a date with someone and they did that, instant out, it'd be horrible, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
But do I have the right to find that icky? Well, you can't help finding stuff icky, but perhaps it's judgmental when other people do it.
Well, I think that's okay. I think you can have the ick with people that you're not in a relationship with.
Good.
I mean, okay, someone you could argue it's a bit judgmental, but come on, we're all human.
We are. When that particular one has happened to me, it's put me off my own food, and it sort of ruined the whole evening, sort of thing.
No, I think definitely you can experience the ick with someone that you're not dating. Definitely. I mean, I'll give you an example of one that I find icky. If I see someone, when someone's out running, and they get to a road and they keep sort of running on the spot while they're waiting to cross the road, I get the ick. I think, oh no, that really, I can't stand that. That makes me. Or here's another absolute guaranteed ick for me: when someone says espresso. Can I have an espresso?
Oh yeah,
cannot stand that. I mean, I'm terrible with mispronunciation like that. So yeah, you can definitely experience the ick with other people. I think the distinction here is that whether it's an ick you're experiencing with your date or with someone else, there's got to be something a little bit absurd in it. And I think the other thing to say is that if you experience the ick because you see someone sort of jogging on the spot waiting to cross the road, that doesn't bear relation to what we're talking about here in terms of what is this saying about you,
No.
because you're not dating this person. Everything that I'm talking about here is really more geared towards, if you're experiencing the
Mm.
ick in someone you're dating, is there something you should be looking at in yourself? Whereas if you're getting the ick because someone else is chewing with their mouth open in a restaurant, it's just because you're finding it bloody irritating.
Like irritating rather than ickish.
Yeah, I mean it
Yeah.
is ickish, but I think I suppose what I'm saying is I think it's you're getting the ick, but you're getting the ick for a different reason, aren't you?
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
just getting the you're getting the ick because it's annoying and it's impolite.
Yeah, and I think I was just thinking about it, going back to the lipstick on teeth situation.
Yeah.
That's a minor thing, really. If I really liked the girl, that you could easily overlook that, couldn't you?
Hmm.
It's so. I think you're right. Perhaps I focused in on that as a reason not to pursue.
Yeah, I mean, I know when I think about that example I gave, because I know enough about my dating history at that point in my life, that was definitely about me feeling I'm not I don't really know how to be in a relationship. I don't feel
Mm,
valuable enough to be in a relationship. And the thought of being with someone who might actually care about me and want to spend time with me, actually, this is where it kind of feeds into neurodiversity, because I think sometimes people get the ick. If you're neurodiverse and you get the ick, sometimes you're getting it because you find it easier to be on your own.
mm,
but
yeah.
but something in you says, well, I ought to be in a relationship. Maybe part of you wants to be in a relationship, but for some neurodivergent people, being in a relationship is just too bloody hard, because you get sensory overload, you value your own kind of processes and routines too much, and you hit this kind of incompatibility between the part of you that thinks, yeah, it'd be really nice to share my life with someone, and the other part of you that says, yeah, but that's not going to work, is it? Because you like to do things your way, and you can't have everything. And so, there's something in there. It might be a difficult circle to square, but again, I go back to the same thing, which is the ick is giving you an opportunity to really investigate what is happening here. Why am I feeling like this? What might this be saying about what I want, what I feel I'm capable of? Whether there is a conflict in me between the part of me that wants to be in a relationship and the part of me that feels like they can't be. There's so many questions
Mm.
you can ask yourself. If at the end of it you think, actually, no, I think it's just that I can't stand people with lipstick on their teeth. Fair enough. Now, I'm not saying that it should direct you in one direction or another. What I'm saying is that the ick, in many cases, might be an opportunity for you to stop and think, oh, there might be more to this than I imagined. Yeah,
Oh, I can see. Yeah, so it needs a little bit of exploration rather than just dismissing it. We could all learn from that. That's what you're saying,
yeah,
isn't it?
it is. And that brings me on to the final kind of bit, which is having named something. So having named it the ick, having named this feeling, this kind of aversion to someone, the ick, you change it. We know that when we label things or label experiences we have or conditions that we have, we change them. So, if it's ADHD or trauma or PTSD or addiction, by naming it, you change it. And
Mm,
it can be a kind of double edged sword, because when you give something a label or someone a label, or when you're given a label, it can invite compassion and understanding and empathy. The problem is, if you hold too tightly to that label, it can become a prison from which you can't escape. So if you associate with addict too much or in a negative way, or you associate with neurodivergent in a negative way, or you associate with the ick in a negative way, you're kind of turning off your opportunity to understand more about yourself, to increase your self awareness, and you're just saying, "Oh, well, this is who I am, and that's the way it's going to stay." Yeah, I'm someone who will date someone a few times, and then I always get the ick, and then I stay single. Yeah, well, maybe there's stuff for you to learn in there that you're not learning.
yeah,
Um,
that's it. It's an interesting point. So we did do an episode on labeling, didn't we?
we
And
did, yeah,
a long time ago now. But the dangers that can be associated with that, because you can play up
exactly.
to you can play up to if you get a label, you can play up to it, can't you? You
That's
can
exactly the point. Yeah.
Yeah, you can use that as your self narrative.
Yeah,
Uh,
and that's what keeps some people in therapy. They
yeah,
go round in this loop.
Yeah, yeah.
and they don't really want to let go of. I mean, anxious is one of the greatest ones. When people feel they suffer from anxiety and they become um, almost defined by it. You know, and you can ask someone, what would it be like not to feel anxious, and people can get to the point where they don't know, they don't recognize themselves. Same with addiction. If you say to someone, what was it like before you felt dependent on drink? If you can't remember, we've talked about this before,
Mm,
it becomes very difficult to get back there because you're thinking about a version of yourself that you no longer recognize.
mm.
And so then you're choosing between a version of you that exists but is in pain, or a version of you that doesn't exist, which is terrifying.
Yeah, it is. It is something we discuss quite a lot in groups because most people can't remember their previous version.
Yeah.
And it's almost, we always talk about ignoring that anyway because you're building a new version.
Yeah.
You're creating a new version of yourself that which is it. The power is in your hands to do that.
But
Because
part of what you're doing in it with people in rehab is helping them to feel a sense of security that the new them that they're building is going to be better than the old one. And
absolutely,
and and
yeah.
although it sounds obvious that it would be, I bet for a lot of people that doesn't feel like a shoe in.
No, it doesn't. It stops people going into recovery in the first place because they're scared
Exactly.
of what they're going to become.
Exactly.
Mm.
Exactly. So in essence, in if we use the ick to avoid rather than try and understand what's going on in us, then we're kind of missing an opportunity.
Yeah,
So
no, I
my
understand that.
my hypothesis is that if you treat the ick as a final judgment, it externalizes our choices, removes our responsibility, and prevents a valuable opportunity for self-reflection. I commend it to the house.
Very good summing up. Very, very eloquently delivered in a proper British fashion.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So there we are. That's it,
excellent.
really.
No, it's good. No, I think it's. I've learned a lot today. I think it's. Hopefully, our listeners will do too, because it is a word that is banded around with no real guidance on it, I suppose. And now I have, which,
Yeah.
as I say,
I've,
I was looking at it in a different way. I'm not saying it was the wrong way, but it's probably a
no,
different
just a
version.
different way. I'm just going to give you a couple of my favourite icks from all the icks that I researched when I was
Okay.
looking at this. Tell me what you think of these. Running to collect sweets from a pinata.
Okay. Well, once it's burst open,
Yeah, obviously.
running.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Wearing flip flops in the street.
Wearing flip flops in the. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
can I just go back to the pinata one
yeah.
because
Go on.
um, I get that similar sort of ick feeling when I see people running towards a bouquet that's been thrown by the bride
Yeah.
behind
Yeah.
them, and
Yeah.
people are diving at
Perfect.
it and going crazy to get it.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
Definitely. Definitely. Um, uh, clapping when the plane lands.
I thought you said flapping at first. I thought people
No,
were
not
actually doing
flapping.
a.
And here's I think this is probably my favourite. I don't know why. There's just something about it. But when the barber has to pump the chair up to cut your hair.
I don't know about you, but they always have to let it down when I sit in the chair.
Well, yeah, that's probably why I find it funny because I'm thinking, well, that's never going to happen to me. So
No.
yeah. One that I thought was a little bit unfair was apparently this is quite a common ick, and that's when you see your partner swimming with goggles on.
Yeah, that is a strange one.
Yeah. Anyway, there we are.
So I'll give you a couple of others on my
Oh yeah,
list,
good. Yeah, go on.
just so that you can, so we can just look at it really. But we talked about the chewing with mouth open, and it leads on to a conundrum. And I know you will have a conundrum, but
I have got
this,
a conundrum. Yeah.
yeah, the second one was people talking to me when they've got food stuck on their lip or their chin or their beard. I find that perhaps it's just feeling gross rather than ick. That's where I'm getting. I've learned about the definition today. I think so. I've got to
Well,
refine.
they're very closely related because if you feel disgust, then that is what the ick is emanating from, isn't it?
Yeah,
It is a form of disgust.
and that's when you said that. I can't remember who it was that was an expert in
Yeah, that
disgust.
was Paul
Pierre, no,
Raisin, wasn't it?
Paul
Paul
who?
Raisin. Paul
Paul, right,
Raisin, I
yeah,
think it is. Yeah. I just
yeah,
thought of another one that actually I haven't put anywhere, which is I get the ick when when you're in a supermarket and it's getting towards the end of the day and there's someone putting the yellow stickers on the stuff,
yeah,
and there's always someone hanging around them,
yeah.
waiting for the yellow stick. Oh, that gives me the ick. If I saw someone that I was dating doing that, it'd be like that would be the end for
That'd be
me.
it.
And I think that says more about my own feelings of embarrassment and awkwardness. I would
Yeah.
find that I'd feel you just can't do that. You just make yourself look terrible doing that. So I know
Well,
that is more about me, but I know it would have that impact on me.
yeah. No, I think a lot of people probably share that.
Yeah.
Yeah, talking about supermarkets, and we've
Yeah.
talked about supermarket queues in the past.
Yeah.
I certainly get the ick with people that, and this happened to me the other day, where the person in front of me actually stunk of skunk
Oh,
on their clothes,
yeah, that's quite bad.
and so it was a really bad smell, and that gave me a physical sort of revulsion
Yeah. I wouldn't say that was so much the ick as just an understandable feeling of revulsion,
of
to be honest.
disgust. Yeah,
Yeah, because
yeah,
it isn't absurd, is it? That's the sort of thing that you can think, oh no, that's like so I think if you're sensitive to smells
yeah,
and someone is emitting a particularly potent smell, I think you know, that's just you're just disgusted by it, and that's that. Not everybody would be affected the same way. It's like some people can't pick up dog poo. I don't have a problem with it. It's
yeah,
okay. But
yeah,
some people are disgusted by other people being sick,
yeah, yeah.
but that's okay.
Um, yeah, I had one down as watching people put mustard on a hot dog.
That is an ick. That is classic ick territory.
Okay.
Now I know that probably comes from you not liking mustard,
Yeah,
but that is so specific and particular that's classic ick territory.
yeah, yeah.
Brilliant.
Good.
So you go out for a date, you go to a fun fair, you buy a hot dog for your date, and
Yeah.
there she is putting the mustard on. It's like that's it, we're done.
Hmm. Yeah,
It's fantastic.
it is rooted in my dislike of mustard, but it's just the action of it going on as well. Yeah, I don't like it.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. That is a perfect ick. That should be included in all the ick paraphernalia.
Um, so
Yeah.
similar to your date that turned up wearing sandals, I've got to, what gives me the ick is seeing people wearing shoes without socks.
Oh God, yeah,
So you
yeah,
got bare ankle, and that often with little short trousers, just enough to show. The
yeah,
trousers are a little bit too short, so you can see the flesh. No, I don't like
yeah,
that.
yeah. That'd give me the ick. As would people who continue to wear their outdoor clothes indoors. So I can never understand if you wear a suit to work
Yeah.
and you come in and you sit all evening watching telly and stuff in your suit. It's like
Oh yeah. No,
what's going on there? That's
no, I
not all
don't get
right. You
that.
can't do that. Or
No.
people who sometimes you see people wearing their outdoor shoes around the house. What's going
Yeah.
on there? That's no good. Oh,
Well, I
here's
do that.
here's go
I
on.
wear outdoor shoes. Well, I've got a special
You've got
pair of
indoor
shoes.
shoes. You've got indoor
I've got
shoes.
indoor shoes that I never wear outdoors. Yeah.
Well, that's all right. That's the same as slippers, isn't it?
Oh,
Only
okay. Yeah, that's
only
cool.
it's not as much fun to write on the bottom of them with a biro. Oh, one of the ones that I found when I was researching this was it's an ick if you're dating a man who turns out to as an adult to still have a Harry Potter wand.
Yeah, I can see that.
Dear. Yeah,
So the
yeah.
only other one I had was it's similar again, observing other people. When you see
Hmm.
an older man with long grey hair tucked back in a ponytail when he's bald on top.
I've got one living virtually opposite me.
Okay, and I
Yeah,
don't. I find that a bit icky.
yeah, yeah. Now is that the ick?
Not
I
really, is it?
suppose. Well, I don't know. I mean, if you were dating an older man with
Yeah,
with grey hair who put it back in a ponytail,
Yeah, that would
I'm
be
not sure that is the ick. I think that feels to me more just a kind of preference, an aesthetic preference. You'd think, oh,
okay.
because there's something there about. I think what's underlying that. If I was feeling that, I'd be thinking, oh, I'm being a bit judgmental about the way that person is
Yeah,
choosing to age,
yeah.
which I think is, yes, it says something about me, but I'm not sure that's the ick. I mean, I don't think you're going to surpass your ick about what was the last one you gave me? That was fantastic.
Mustard on a
Oh
hot
yeah,
dog.
the mustard on a hot. That is brilliant. I'm putting that on my list. It's a shame that I finished writing that essay because I'd put that in there definitely.
But
All
it's
right,
but I think what we've done here is define it quite nicely, the ick then, with
I think we have.
these examples we've put that fall into different categories. So
Yeah. So if any listeners have got their own personal favourite icks, do let us know.
we'd
I
like to
mean,
know
nobody
about that.
nobody ever does, do they? But
Well, on the Facebook page gets sometimes, doesn't it?
oh, do
Some
they?
responses.
Yeah. Well, that's good. Good. Should we carry on? Because
Yes.
we've been nearly an hour already.
Yeah, I know. You're going to need some editing on this fella.
I'll probably just leave it. Doesn't matter, does it? I can't
It
be asked.
gives you
Gives me
the ick,
the
doesn't
ick.
it?
Right. So do you want me conundrum?
Yes.
Okay. A friend tells you that they got the ick when their partner did something completely benign. You don't like the partner without any obvious reason, but your friend has always seemed very happy with them. Do you take the opportunity to stoke the fire or recommend a deeper reflection on the feelings your friend is experiencing?
Oh, that's a tough one. So just to summarize that, and you see,
So a friend of yours has been out on a date
yeah, and they've got the ick.
and their partner put mustard on a hot dog and it gave them a feeling of revulsion. Then they're kind of conflicted and they're saying, oh, I've suddenly got the ick with him or her and I don't know
Yeah,
what to do about it. You don't like this person. And so
yeah,
you've got an opportunity to pile in and say, yeah, they're wrong and you should get rid of them. Or knowing what you know about the ick, would you now say, well, maybe there's something else in there? Have you thought about what that might be saying to you about you or how you feel about this relationship or relationships generally? So that's the question.
well, now I know what I know after listening to your very thorough research. Yeah, I'd probably be a bit more understanding and a bit more try and be a bit supportive and talk around it. Yeah, in the
Mm,
past I'd have said, well, actually, I don't like that person. So yeah, I just see him in with all other things that I felt wrong about them. Yeah. So
mm.
yes, I've grown as a person in the last hour.
That's good then. So
Hmm.
you think you would put the opportunity aside to stick the knife into someone
Yeah,
and yeah, okay.
yeah, I would. I
What
would.
about what about the so just changing the dynamic a little bit? What about if you felt your friend didn't hadn't seemed all that happy with this partner anyway? Would that change your approach?
Yeah, yeah, it would. I think. Yeah, no,
Right.
I wouldn't piss on their bonfire if they were happy, but certainly,
Yeah. Yeah.
perhaps I would pour a little petrol on the bonfire. Yeah, yeah.
All right. Good. That's good. That's good. That's top and tailed that one nicely.
Okay,
What's
it's
next?
gratitude list.
Oh bloody hell, I haven't thought about anything for this. You better go first while I think of something.
Okay, I had a bit of gratitude this week at work with
Hmm.
having a very nice email from my line manager.
Oh, that's
Uh,
nice.
I mean, normally at work you're getting told off for doing stuff or something's gone wrong, but she took the opportunity to thank me for my efforts, Joe, because we've been very short-staffed and
Yeah.
over a few weeks with sickness and annual leave being taken and stuff. So she very kindly sent me a really kind email thanking me,
That is nice.
which I thought, and I've always in favour of using the phrase, feedback is the breakfast of champions, and that illustrated it perfectly. So I was very grateful for that.
Yeah, I can understand. I think, a little acknowledgement sometimes goes an enormously long way. I think
Yeah,
sometimes
yeah,
when you send something like that to someone, you don't realize that the impact it has
mm,
compared with the effort it's taken for you to
yeah, yeah,
write it has an impact, that is far more significant than one might imagine.
yeah. I really appreciated it.
I mean, I never get any feedback from my boss.
That's yourself, isn't it?
Yeah. Maybe I should write myself little notes. Say, well done, Graham.
Well, which links into gratitude, really, doesn't it? Yeah,
It does. Yeah, I've thought of something I'm grateful for now. So one of my friend Prod came and visited me yesterday. Drove down from Oxford, where he lives, and we had a
Oh
very
yeah,
nice afternoon together. And I was reminded of how, I mean, I'm, curmudgeonly when it comes to any sort of social activity. And whenever I've got something, social on the books, I always kind of get close to it and think, oh, blimey, I don't know if I can be bothered to do this.
yeah.
But then quite often, as was the case yesterday, I have had a very, very enjoyable time. And I was kind of reminded of how nice it is to be in touch with people and stay connected with
Mm.
people. So, um,
I know
I mean,
he's
it was obviously helped by it being nice and warm. We could sit outside, but
yeah, yeah. I know he's a long-term mate, and I think did you have a hug?
we did have a hug. Yeah,
You
he's
did.
the friend. He's the friend. So when we were talking
Yes,
about it last week, he's the
yes.
friend who always hugs, and it was funny because he got to the door, and I automatically went for the handshake, but he was already in for the hug. And
Oh
as
yeah,
I was having, I was thinking, yeah, this is nice.
yeah,
I
yeah.
like this. This is nice. Yeah. So yeah, it was lovely all round.
Good work.
Very good.
That,
I drank
that
too
is a,
much coffee, but there we are. And then I couldn't sleep, but still,
yeah. No, well, it's a good bit of gratitude. I understand
yeah,
that.
mm, good.
We'll go for the lyric challenge then, shall we?
Yeah, come on then.
Okay, 4 questions. num, num,
This
number
is
one,
giving me the fucking ick. This is.
number one. Um, got your lipstick mark still on your coffee cup?
Okay. Take that. Want you back.
Um, let's take that.
Oh, it's not want you. Is it? Is it not want you back? Want you back for good or
Yeah,
back
it's
for good? Back for good.
back for good. Yeah, I'll let you have that. Yes, sir.
Well, that's good. Oh, what's happened here? Hang on. I've become unstuck. Yeah, good.
I know you're.
That's good.
Yeah. So that's
Well, he's a good songwriter, isn't he? Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say I'm a massive fan of Take That, but they do write some. Oh, Barlow does write some good tunes. I think I've said that quite recently.
I remember you saying it before. I got a feeling someone said that you would be a good songwriter for Take That, didn't they?
I remember. Well, on one of the reviews I had for my album, someone had written in the review he could write hits for Take That in his sleep,
Ah, right.
which
There we go.
which I always felt to be a backhanded compliment.
I think you should take that. That's a good one. A good compliment.
You think I should take that?
Take
Hey,
that. Way. Um, okay, good start. Second
yeah.
one. With the lights out, it's less dangerous. Here we are. Now entertain us.
Oh, I don't know this. With the lights out, here we are now, entertained. I feel like I should know it. Can you give me a clue at all?
I'll read it slightly differently.
All
With
right,
the
then.
lights out, it's less dangerous. Here we
Yeah,
are now. Entertain us. I'll put the intonations in where it is on the lyric when it's being sung.
yeah, I can hear it, but I can't hear it. If you know what I
Yeah,
mean. I'm pretty sure I know this, but I
it's
can't.
a classic sort of. They would fall under the group would be considered grunge.
Right.
Straight out,
Oh, I know who
straight
it
out of
is.
Seattle.
I know who it is. It's Nirvana,
Yes,
and Smells Like Teen Spirit.
it is. Good
Okay,
work.
I should only probably have one for that because you did give me a help. I could hear it, but I couldn't place it. All right,
Okay,
3 points then so far.
okay. If
As
you're happy
many
with
as West Ham got yesterday.
that. Number three.
Yeah.
So hurry up and bring your jukebox money.
Oh, this is ringing a bell as well. So hurry up and bring your jukebox money. It's the next line that would have got it for me. Hurry up and bring your jukebox money. Can you give me a clue?
Um, I don't think they had many other. They did have some minor hits. This was a sort of biggie for this particular group. And if anyone ever mentioned this group, that's the track you always think about. it was quite big in the sort of 80s, late 80s. Was it early, middle 80s, something like that.
Hurry up and bring your jukebox money. I know this,
There was
but I
another
can't.
there was another track that they did that Homer Simpson. Oh, you don't watch The Simpsons, do you? No.
No, no. Is this a band I would have liked?
I think you probably had a passing respect for them.
Um, is it an American band?
Yeah.
Who is it? It'll be someone like bloody Huey Lewis in the News or someone like that, won't
No.
it? It won't
No.
be. It won't be someone like that, will it?
No.
I think it definitely won't be anyone like Huey Lewis in the News, will it? And what sort of genre are we talking? Is it pop?
Well, it's difficult to categorize them really.
Oh,
There was sort of sort of an alternative pop, if you like.
yeah, I can bring your jukebox. Oh, is it? No, it can't be them. It's not the Spin Doctors, is it?
No.
No, I'm not. I don't think I'm going to get this. I know. I know. I'm going to kick myself when I'm going to get the ick with myself when you tell me. But
Okay, it's Love Shack by the B-52s.
oh, of course, bloody yes, of course it is. Oh, that's so annoying.
Yeah, you were nearly there.
Oh, yeah, they're not really like Huey Lewis in the News, are they?
They're a long way from that, but
Yeah.
so
All right.
the 4-pointer question.
Yeah.
I know just what you're saying, so please stop explaining.
Mm, there's something right in the back of my mind, but it's not very forthcoming. You're going to have to give me something else. What else can you offer?
I can't really. It's a
Oh,
difficult.
that's charming. That is after all the bloody work I've done.
um, yeah, again, it's probably the track that's synonymous with this particular.
Same era,
Yeah,
80s.
yeah.
What's the lyric again?
It's I know just what you're saying, so please stop explaining.
Please stop it. American?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure.
No.
They may be American. I don't know where they come from actually.
Just what you're saying. Yeah, I can. I know. I'm going to know
I've got a
this.
feeling they're British, but I don't know.
Would I have liked them?
Not particularly, I don't think.
Please stop explaining. No, I don't know what it is. What is it?
It's Don't Speak by No Doubt.
Oh,
By No
bloody hell.
Doubt.
Yeah, aren't they? Well, she's. I don't know. Actually, I think she's American, isn't she?
I don't know. I'm not quite sure. I didn't bother to look it up the
Yeah, I think they're.
background of the band.
I'd go American, but
Yeah, maybe.
oh, after a strong start, I've fallen away badly.
Yeah.
That probably is also what West Ham are going to do after winning yesterday. They're probably going to lose their next 4 games, and that'll be that.
That'll be that. Well, we're still hanging on in there at the moment.
Yeah, yeah.
So
All right.
no footy talk, especially if
Yeah, stop it.
we've gone over by a long time.
Yeah, we've gone an hour and 8 minutes. That might be a record episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter though because it was interesting.
It was very interesting. It
Oh,
was.
I just thought of another one. I can't stand it when people confuse the spelling of there and there.
Oh, do you know that was on my list initially, and I thought, I don't know if that's right because there's 3 different spellings really. If people are saying
Yeah,
they are as well,
yeah.
yeah, that annoys me. But yeah, I was going to put it
I
up.
don't know if that's an ick really. I think that's
Not
just
really.
me being a pet. It's pedantic, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's what I thought. So I didn't put it on there because I was thinking of all sort of grammatical
Yeah,
mistakes that people make, and it's not. That's just being.
that's just us being arseholes, I think.
It is absolutely.
Yeah,
It falls into that category.
that's all right. We'll have to do an episode on that.
Okay,
All
mate.
right. All right. See you next
Good one.
time.
Laters.
Laters.
Bye.
Bye.